If I could walk to the stars, I would bring them all to you. Doesn't matter how far, if it's for you, I'll do anything for you. Just tell me if you want me to.
If you were stuck on an island, I'll swim to the sea. I'll struggle to bring you to me. I'll do anything for you. Just tell me if you want me to.
I have fallen in love, and I just want you to know that you're the one that I love. Cuando me enamoro, this is timeless love. Cuando me enamoro, when I'm falling in love, you're the one that I want. I want you more and more. Anywhere you need me, I can go. This is timeless love. Cuando me enamoro.
Cuando me enamoro.
I have fallen in love, and I just want you to know that you're the one that I love. Cuando me enamoro, this is timeless love. Cuando me enamoro, when I'm falling in love, you're the one that I want. I want you more and more. Anywhere you need me, I can go. This is timeless love. Cuando me enamoro.
Cuando me enamoro.
A very good morning and welcome to Newsroom right here on GH1 TV. My name is Lerato Charlotte Lesotho. Time now to have a look at our headlines this morning. Following weeks of uncertainty and final confirmation of the cause of mysterious deaths at Kumasi Academy as H1N1 virus, we will find out if there is cause for anxiety. Minority in Parliament flays majority for abandoning government business for party fanfare. We will be live in Parliament to find out why the majority abandoned proceedings. A final year marketing student of Takoradi Technical University meets his untimely death in Sekondi after train accident. And Zimbabwe Central Bank orders that the bank accounts of two top allies of ousted President Robert Mugabe be frozen. These and many more stories coming up in our bulletin. Stay tuned. And starting off with our top story this hour, Health Ministry allays public fear as it announces measures to tackle the situation. Now, you will remember that Dr. Badu Sarkodie, Head of Public Health, GHS, Dr. Nsia Asare, the Director General as well, after more than a week of speculations on the possible cause of the mysterious death of some students at the Kumasi Academy in the Ashanti region, the Health Ministry has unraveled the cause as influenza type A H1N1, popularly referred to as swine flu. Now, addressing the media at an emergency news conference that brought together all stakeholders, including the World Health Organization, Sector Minister Kweku Agyeman-Manu allied public fears, strongly indicating that his ministry is on top of the situation. Now, GH1 News' Ridwan Karim Dini Osman brings us more details.
Sector Minister Kweku Agyeman-Manu indicated that medical examination of students who were on admission showed symptoms of fever, joint and bodily pains, headache, cough and abnormal chest signs. According to the ministry, 26 blood samples which were sent to Noguchi to be tested for Ebola, Marburg and Lassa all came out negative, ruling out fears of the cause of deaths being Ebola as earlier speculated. However, out of the 19 samples sent to the same institute for investigation, 12 tested positive for influenza type A H1N1.
About 2 hours ago, report on further tests was received confirming influenza type A H1N1 209 pandemic strain. Fortunately, the outbreak is so far confined to a small area in Kumasi Academy. It hasn't spread to even the very nearest town where the school is located.
Kweku Agyeman-Manu also refuted claims that government's response to the outbreak has been slow.
When you are managing surveillance systems and emergency response, we would need to do and confirm certain things very initially before you begin to put panic and fear information into the public domain. But if you don't go announcing on air, would it mean that you were not working? Look at how quickly collaboration WHO, Ghana Health Service Public Health Directorates, and then triggering all the research institutions in the country and the speed with which they worked.
According to the World Health Organization, the influenza type A H1N1 virus emerged in 2009. However, the flu was first reported in 2010 in Ghana, causing fear and panic across the length and breadth of the country. It is transmitted through the respiratory system, mainly through droplets disseminated by unprotected coughs and sneezes. Short-distance airborne transmission of influenza viruses may occur, particularly in crowded enclosed spaces. Hand contamination and direct inoculation of virus is another possible source of transmission.
Surveillance in humans, we have sentinel surveillance sites. You strengthen surveillance at these sites. You're working with the veterinary colleagues as much as possible, also to strengthen surveillance in the piggery and then the poultry population.
You have also downplayed the calls for the school to be shut down. Why?
We didn't. What we are saying is that the benefit for the students to be on campus is better. One, we have taken measures to strengthen school health. This is a situation where because we need to contain it, the students have to be on campus within the 4 walls, so that should somebody, even for now incubating, befall ill, he will not go back home and spread it to their families. Director
General at the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Nsia Asare, allayed the fears of the public, indicating that all stakeholders are on top of the situation.
As at yesterday, we had 19 students in KNUST Hospital. We had 9 students in Kumasi South Hospital. We had 6 in Komfo-Anokye, and I think 4 in Manhyia Hospital. They were all in stable condition. That's why we were very happy. Everybody was well. And I'm sure today they've discharged. Today they haven't told us those who have gone home. They are following them up. And since the past 3 days, there has not been any new admission.
The H1N1 flu is an acute respiratory infection of varying severity, ranging from asymptomatic infection to fatal disease. Typical influenza symptoms include fever with abrupt onset, chills, sore throat, non-productive cough, and often accompanied by headache, coryza, malagia, and prostration. The Kumasi Academy outbreak, which began on the 30th of November this year, has seen the death of 4 students out of the over 40 reported cases. Affected students were rushed to various hospitals in Kumasi in the Ashanti region in what was initially suspected to be an outbreak of meningitis.
All right, now we can speak to a public health advocate, Dr. Ernest Kwaku, for some analysis on this. Dr. Kwaku, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, what is the nature of this H1N1 virus?
Yes, good morning, Lorato, to you and your viewers. H1N1 is a sub-strain of Haemophilus influenzae type A, which causes, if you like, respiratory disease in populations. Now, it's a virus, obviously, so now we know that it is the initial outbreak was not due to bacteria, as we were suspecting, as related to meningitis. So at least it offers us relief and a way forward. Now, the infection, as I heard in your intro, is acquired from human to human. This particular type, the strain, is from human to human, and it's acquired to what we call droplet infection. The droplets can come from cough, sneeze, talking with saliva spit out, or contaminated hands that are put in the mouth, the eyes, or the nose. So these are typical ways that you can have the condition. And once it gets from the other infected person to the other, especially for those who are vulnerable, like children under 5 or elderly over 65 years, or somebody who has underlying condition like a heart disease or the patient is like uncontrolled diabetes, then such people can, or you have already existing chest infection, then such people tend to be the ones that are severely affected. Then you will have all the signs that you have said, the cough, usually it's dry, and then you may have some fever, you feel hot, at the same time you feel cold, so hot and cold. Then your nose may be running, then sometimes you have joint pains all over, sometimes you become weak, sometimes you run, have loose stools, and in severe cases you have difficulty in breathing, and then if something is not done to support you early, eventually you may die. So this is the nature of the disease as we know it to be. Of course, you have said in your intro the first outbreak was in 2009, and then the WHO declared it by June as a public health emergency of international concern. So I think that we have every reason in Ghana also to be, now that we are specific with the isolation, to up our game and marshal or emergency services to be able to hold forth. We have the men, we have material resource, a little help from our collaborators from WHO, we should be fine.
Mm-hmm. And now that we know the cause of this outbreak, should people be apprehensive? I mean, considering that some lives have already been lost.
Paradoxically, now that we are very specific with the isolate of this strain, this is the time when we have to heave a sigh of relief. From our perspective in public health, now that we know what we are dealing with, then it is easy to move in with control measures. So this is the time when the population needs to be even addressed and be calm. Need to be calm about it. There's nothing to worry about, because ordinarily the strain does not cause severe disease. I think that a little more, will be paid to some of those young ones that have died. We are not certain that all of them were as healthy as we would like to believe. And here I risk saying in public, space that personally, I've come across 2 patients who had shingles, or what we call, in the lay public, we call it shingles. We call it herpes zoster infection before they had this, which means that somehow they were not as well as we would like to believe. So there was already an existing condition. That is how come that this infection was severe in their case. So naturally, it doesn't cause severe disease, except, like I said, in vulnerable populations under 5 years and over 65 years, and those who have an underlying medical chest or heart condition.
Mm-hmm. Now, Doctor, one more thing before I let you go. In terms of proximity, would you then say, with all the information that we have pertaining to this particular disease, that people who are outside of Kumasi ought not to be worried, or would you advise that everybody in Ghana gets checked out for this particular H1N1?
I think that the key thing here now, and I suspect that Pensiansari said it, and another person also said it, it's surveillance. Because, you know, even their travelers who cross borders that may carry the disease. So everybody, we need to keep an eye on everybody. Now that there's an outbreak like this, we need to keep an eye on everybody. The key thing is that we have copiously described the symptoms in the public space. So if you have anything that resembles it, even at risk of burdening the health service, report for us to see that perhaps you are free. There's nothing wrong with you in that direction, or it's something else that is causing your symptoms. Everybody needs to be there. So contact tracing is the next key thing that we need to do. Unfortunately, some of the students left their confinement. Their parents took them away, and the initial panic was not reassuring enough, so people took their words away, and they have mixed with the population. So contact tracing is something that I think the health service and then the emergency team put together is quite capable of doing. After all the students are registered, they have traceable addresses, and it's possible to do some contact tracing so that anybody they come into contact with who during the incubation period is not showing any sign, once the incubation period is over and they show signs, they can easily and quickly be helped at any nearby facility. And then if it becomes very serious, there are emergency outlets, like Pensiansari said, Konfanochi here, we are able to help. Kumasi South, I think Menchia has. Obviously, Tech Hospital, which has been the one hosting most of the patients, that can also help. Mm-hmm. So we need not worry, but we need to be vigilant, all of us, and report early with suspected disease that resembles what we have said.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Doctor, for your analysis and also for the information shared, which I'm pretty much sure is helpful and will alleviate some of, the concerns or the worry that a lot of us have been facing in Ghana here. That was Dr. Ernest Kwaku. He is a public health advocate. They're giving us his analysis. Now, moving away from the Kumaka deaths, where we understand we have an outbreak, we move over still in Kumasi. The final funeral rites of the late Asante Hema are still ongoing at the palace in Kumasi, where thousands continue to gather to mourn with the Asante Hene Otumfuo Osei Tutu II. Now, let's go live to Kumasi, where my colleague Isaac Bediako is standing by with an update on what's happening today. Isaac, good day. Just share with us what has been happening this morning at the palace.
Well, as I speak with you now, there's no serious activity ongoing here in the Menchia Palace. Actually, the final funeral rite for the late Asante Hema actually ended yesterday, and in Twi it is called Bujaye, which means that they ended at the funeral yesterday. But today, traditions still continue. As I speak to you, the Asante Hene this morning distributed food and sheep to the royal family. What that means is that during the funeral hours, the royal family, they were all fasting, and so this morning they broke their fast, where the king came and gave them meat and foodstuffs that they will eat between now and tomorrow. And there are a lot of activities still ongoing, but not all is open to the public. As I speak to you now, the family is preparing to take the stew of the late Queen Mother to Rempim, where they're going to perform some tradition to, wash the stew of the late Asante Hima. It will return to the Menchia Palace tomorrow in the morning around 10 a.m. where Asante Hene Otumfuo Osei II and the new Queen Mother Nana Kunadu Yadom II will sit and actually, receive the stew from the Rempem family. That is the activity that will take place tomorrow here in the palace. But these all activities has its traditional meaning. Now we have a man here who will explain to us how these traditions actually mean to the Asante people. And so he is much into history. He's written a lot of books. His name is Nana Kwesi, Mr. Kwesi Ampene. He would explain some of the activities that are ongoing as we speak now. He is a lecturer in the university at Michigan. He will actually explain most of the things that are going on here in the Menchia Palace. Sir, now, can you tell us your name and your position so far as Menchia Palace and Asante history is concerned?
My name, my position, and Menchia Palace, Asante history concerned. Okay, so my name is Kwesi Ampene, and I'm a professor at the University of Michigan. I'm a professor in ethnomusicology, or in short, musicology. Of course, I've been writing a lot about our court traditions, quite a bit, and we are still working on it. So that is what I specialize in.
Now, today, Asante Hene distributed food and sheep to the royal family who have been fasting right from the beginning of the funeral. It means that they broke their fast this morning. What is the meaning of that particular food and sheep distribution?
Okay, so I heard you saying that they've been fasting, yes. The pain of death, when people say the pain of death, or when they are grieved to this extent, our people, especially that Akan, you don't even have time to eat. You've lost appetite, and not being able to eat is part of it. It's part of the reason why people say the pain of death, right? So if you watch carefully, sometimes some people will dance, and then they will do this. They will put their hands on their stomach and be dancing like this. That means they are, because the disease, maybe they were benefiting from the disease, and now that the disease is no more, they don't know where food is going to come from. So they are already facing that situation. They are hungry, and so the pain of death, right? So all this from Friday, from December 1st, or even before then, more eating. In tradition, we say yabutu, mochi yabutu, yakata mochi also, and a dasen, so yabutu dasen. They've turned the pot upside down, because who will have time to cook and everything. But since everything ended yesterday, then at least today, Friday, is an exceptional day that they can break that fast. So symbolically, the king came to the royal household to distribute food, yams, plantain, ram, and all kinds of foodstuffs for the royal household, so that they can begin to now aid for the next series of activities, some of which are private, some of which are public, and I'm sure we'll talk about that.
Now, we know that this evening there's two that the late Asante Hima sat on will be taken to Rempem for some traditions to be performed. Why are they doing that?
Okay, so it is a special consecration of a stew in memory of our dear Ohima, right? That special consecration involves taking her personal stew from her palace, and then the stew itself, there are several implications or symbolism in the stew. Okay, the wood that they use in making the stew, and we have stews all over the Akan area. The sese tree, okay, so initially it is not blackened. Okay, it is not blackened. So her personal stool, when she was alive, she was using that particular stool a lot. There were several stools, but this particular one, she used it a lot. Okay, I don't know which one, but she used it a lot. So what they are going to do is to take that stool to Rempe, and then when they go, and then they prepare, it's a special consecration where eventually they are going to invoke her spirit to come and reside in that stool, and then they will bring the stool, so that the stool can join our forebears, the past Asante Hima's stool. Okay, so once they provide that smooth transition, then they can bring that stool. The whole idea of that Rempe also, you know, we have a new Ohima, Asante Hima. We have a new Asante Hima. So once you bring the stool to the Nkonya Fieso, that means the new Asante Hima is going to live with this stool, right? So we have to perform special rituals so that there will be harmony between, the transition will be smooth, right? We won't offend our forebears in all kinds of ways. And then the new Asante Hima also will be able to live in this house, and then, or the palace, and then also where the stools of the Hima are, so that on every 42 days, or on the Akan calendar, when they go and offer prayers to our forebears for them to keep guiding us in all kinds of ways, then hers will be one of it. That too is in permanent memory of Asante Hima.
Now, we know here in the Menchia Palace we have different types of clan in the palace that comes to, you know, worship the king. Which clan would actually be performing this particular rite?
Okay, so it's not a clan; it's office holders. Okay, we have special office holders in Nkonya Fieso. Okay, those whose job is to perform these rituals. They are the Nkonya Swafo and Nkonya Fieso for, you know, sometimes a few of them or a few of them. You know, some of them are the ones who carry the stools when we are doing the normal procession. Some of them, when you know, Chumfo's chair is coming, they have the white cloth covering it. Those are the people. But they are not clans. They are special office holders here. There are several offices here, thousands and thousands of them. So this is especially for the Nkonya Fieso.
So these are some of the activities that are expected to take place here in Menchia Palace between today and tomorrow. But tomorrow there will be an interesting activities also taking place here in the palace. This is because all the old ladies in the Queen Mother's Palace, they're going to shave their hair and also cut their fingernails. And these nails will be taken straight away into the Menchia Abusuya Kurua. It's a cup that we are told will be carried to Bremai Burmu, where the late Queen Mother was buried. And so these activities is open to the media. And so tomorrow we are expecting to, you know, bring these interesting scenes to our viewers right from the Queen Mother's Palace here in the Menchia Palace.
So, Isaac, for that update. We still will be, of course, staying on this. Like you mentioned, tomorrow some significant things will continue to happen there. Interesting enough, I know the shaving of the hair and the cutting of the nails is a very universal element to mourning, but rather the others that I've heard earlier on, you know, being shared were quite new to me as well, since I'm not that familiar with the culture, but very interesting stuff there to learn about the culture and every activity that is happening at the palace at the moment on this very significant time. Now we move along to the rest of our stories on our bulletin today, and we go here where the latest is that the Psychiatric Nurses of Ghana says it is in full support of the strike action being undertaken by nurses at the Anchor Falls Psychiatric Hospital aimed at removing the director of the facility, that's Dr. Eugene. Now the association says it is backing the nurses after an independent investigation revealed that the nurses nurses are mentally enslaved and have no peace of mind to work. The association's Vice President Samuel Hanu advised the Minister of Health to revise his approach in dealing with the issue to avert a further degeneration. Central Regional Correspondent Kweku Ba joins us with more details on this particular story. Kweku, good day. Thank you so much for joining us. What are the developments that we are hearing there on the nurses' strike?
Well, Loreto, there is exactly in terms of the mood of the nurses following that declaration by their mother union. That is the support that they have really given them. They think that it is a step in the right direction, and it is going to go a long way to push the Ministry of Health and that of the mental authority to really rise up to the occasion in ensuring that their grievances are really adhered to. According to them, whatever that is happening at the hospital, for now, they can say it's not in the interest of even the patient, as they don't have the mental aptitude to really carry out their duty. And if you look at the statement that was released yesterday by the Mental Health Workers Association, that is the Psychiatric Nurses Association of Ghana, they describe the situation as being chaotic. They attribute the situation to that of people who are in slavery, and they think that the nurses are mentally enslaved to carry out their duty, and therefore they cannot really carry out the maximum mandate that is expected of them. So they are calling the Mental Health Authority and the Ministry of Health to make sure that Dr. Eugene Dodoe is released of his job. So as I talk to you now, they've shifted gear or focus from the total withdrawal of their service to that of a sit-down strike. And I can tell you that the ANCAFO that was used for that was known for that kind of numbers in terms of people who were turning up at the facility every day to seek medical care, that is what we are experiencing now. Just at the entrance of the hospital where I stand now, I can tell you that there's nothing happening here. People are no longer choosing ANCAFO Psychiatric Hospital as the preferred destination when it comes to mental health care. And that is what the health nurses say the Mental Health Authority and that of the ministry must help avert so that the facility does not collapse entirely.
Now, as we see that currently it's not non-operational and there are threats that it could die, can you just tell us, were you able to speak to some of the community members there? What is they say on this? What is the current predicament of the patients at that particular hospital?
Well, when you interact with some of the patients, you know there are some whose condition is quite relatively good, and therefore you can engage them in discourse. Of course, you have people who come for psychological therapy, reviews and the things. And the psychologists at the facility told me that such people are not even coming for the review. So more of they don't even have clients to deal with. But when you interact with the community proper, they are not happy with what is happening. And they think that the earlier something drastic is done to really salvage the situation, the better, because the situation at the hospital keeps worsening day after day. And they think that it does not inure the benefits of the patient, because these are people who are suffering from psychological issues. So if they are deprived of the best of health care, then clearly you can see that their condition is going to be aggravated. And that is something they tell me must be addressed.
Thank you very much, Kweku, for that update. Well, it does sound like the nurses' strike is really going to affect a lot, including the patients who are at the hospital, and it will be to the detriment of the facility because it will eventually close down. So we suggest that this matter be resolved as soon as possible. That is Kweku Ba, our Central Regional Correspondent, is giving us an update there on the ANCAFO nurses' strike. And we move along to the rest of our news, where Defense Minister Dominic Nitiwul has notified former President Mahama and ex-government appointees occupying military lands to relocate and hand back the land to the military. Other government appointees who have benefited from some 300 acres of land sold under the NDC administration have also been asked to vacate by the 31st December or face eviction.
The lands in question are supposedly to serve as a boundary between the military and civilians. Falling short of disclosing where the disputed lands are, the Minister of Defense, Dominic Nitiwul, said the ex-commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces has dented his image by occupying the land instead of being a custodian of it.
Within 2 years, we sold every piece of land, over 300 acres of land, to individuals. So that what happens? Top politicians who are supposed to have provided and covered the armed forces were now writing to the armed forces to say that if you have no money, I think the AG did that. If you have no money, then release the land to the owners, not knowing they were buying the lands themselves. How can you do this? I want to advise the former president that he should look for a place and live, because that is a very debt on him. It's not good for him. But he was a president. He shouldn't live there. I am not satisfied with the state of that land, and I would advise the former president to leave that place, because it's not good. He should have protected the armed forces. But today, if you are living in that area, giving others the impetus to do what they are doing, and it's not good for us. I'm talking about the Prime President John Mahama.
He warned those who have benefited from the 300 acres land sold out under the former government to beware, as they have until 31st December to vacate or face eviction.
Still on this, the office of ex-President John Dramani Mahama has described as irresponsible and reckless an allegation by Defense Minister Dominic Nittu that the former president is occupying or has appropriated a land or property belonging to the Ghana Armed Forces. In a statement released on Thursday, Joyce Bawa Magdari, special aide to the former president, said, while the minister did not provide any details of the said property, we presume that the minister's irresponsible claim is in respect of the current residence of the former First family. The former president's office insists Mr. Mahama has not appropriated or acquired any land or property belonging to the military and which he is currently occupying. Now, according to the statement, the former president and his family, as is commonly known, currently resides in a residential estate developed by a private real estate development company. The estate has been in existence for several years, and the former First family lives peacefully with several Ghanaian and expatriate neighbors. This office is appalled at the minister's unfounded accusation because any serious defense minister with the military intelligence apparatus under him would know that President Mahama has no claim to the ownership of the land of the property in which he resides. That's the end of the statement. And we take a quick breather. Just a reminder that our social media handle is at GH1TV on all social media platforms. Feel free to drop us your comments, your opinions. We're always happy to hear from you.
December 7, 2016, a great battle between the umbrella and the elephant, with each commanding almost the same number of soldiers.
We want to assure our supporters and Ghanaians that President Mahama is in a comfortable lead.
But the electorates spoke for the elephant.
It is my duty and my privilege to declare Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo as the President-elect of the Republic of Ghana.
1 year on, Nabil Ahmed Rufai journeys to the Kingmaker, a quest to see if the change has been worthwhile. Catch the reports from the Kotokwaba Market to Mutu in the Central Region, Thursday 7th and Friday 8th December at 6:30 p.m. News Tonight on GH1 TV. News you can trust.
Welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, you're watching Newsroom right here on GH1 TV, and we continue with the rest of our stories on our bulletin this midday, where a final year marketing student of Takoradi Technical University met his untimely death on Thursday morning after he was hit by a Kojokrom Takoradi bound train. Now, according to the father of the deceased, the 25-year-old Anthony, it died on the spot after he was hit by the train. And now let's go over our phone lines and speak with our Western Regional correspondent, Emmanuel Ohenejan, for more details on this. Emmanuel, thank you very much for joining us. If you can hear me, for the benefit of our viewers, just break it down for us. How did this happen?
Thank you for having me, Larato. And what happened was that yesterday in the morning, this 25-year-old young man who has been identified as Antonio Go and a final year marketing student at Saturday Technical University was returning from nature school. The Saman area is one of the communities which has the train lines passing through from Kujoko to Isaman to Kotompo, then to Lisakadi, then finally to the harbor. And so we are told that most of the residents in this community, that is the Isaman community, are involved in open defecation. And so there was a task force set up to arrest anybody who will be involved in open defecation. And so this young man moved to a nearby bush and had whatever he wanted to do over there. And when he was returning, he was in a rush to escape arrest. And so because of that, he jumped onto the rail lines without realizing that the rail lines was also approaching closer to him. And so the railway hit him on the spot and he died instantly. And so this was actually what happened. As we speak in the morning, I went to the community and the residents said they are living in fear because actually they have fenced the rail lines with some wire mesh, but the distance between the rail lines and the wire mesh is so huge that people jump these wire mesh and move in and around the wire mesh. And so the residents are appealing to the Railway Development Authority to make sure that if they can push the wire mesh a bit closer to the rail line, so it will be very difficult for people to jump into the rail lines or to jump closer to the lines to carry out any activities. But as you see, the body has been also deposited at the Siankwanta Regional Hospital for preservation. The father says he is not interested in any autopsy. Already they are aware that he was hit and killed instantly by a train. So they are not interested in any autopsy.
Mm-hmm. And what is the current status of that location at the moment? Has it been demarcated? Are there any warning signs for the community around there?
No, they are not. The place has not been cordoned off. The place is still open to the residents and the people in the community. But what I can say is that the people say they are living in fear because they are saying that the speed at which the train travels from Kujokom to the community, that is the Saman to Kotompo, is something that the authorities need to check. And again, they are also pleading with authorities to narrow the distance between the wire mesh and the main trail lines. The distance between the wire mesh and the main trail lines is quite big, and so people normally jump into these lines and carry out any activities that they want to do. And so now they are saying that for safety reasons, they have to narrow the lines between the wire mesh and the trail lines.
All right, thank you very much for that update, Emmanuel. That is Emmanuel Ohinejan, giving us what a very tragic way of a 25-year-old man dying from something that could definitely been avoided. But nonetheless, it is tragic, and those are the news from there. Now, on this sad note, we take a short break, but when we come back, we will be getting into the rest of our stories on our bulletin. Stay tuned.
Is not just a television show. This is not just a radio show. This is not just a magazine. This is not just an event. This is a platform telling authentic and honest stories of the struggles, challenges, and ultimately victories of the young African business leader.
Well, on starting our business, we bootstrapped the business, and we ended up selling our house and basically everything but one car.
Inspiring and motivating the next generation of business leaders.
In order to grow and to continue going as a leader, you've got to be generally having to be educating yourself, stretching yourself.
Equipping aspiring and emerging business leaders with leadership tools for business success and facilitating and building business networks, synergies, and relationships between businesses across the continent and the diaspora. This is the African Renaissance. This is Under 40 CEOs.
A lot goes on around us every day. Sometimes traditional news outlets cannot capture it the very second it happens. But you have a phone that has a camera, so you have the power. Give us your account of the most depressing and interesting stories in your community. When it happens and you're there, you report it to 0551 433 055. When you see something, say something. Share it on 055 143 3055. MTN Video Report, Mondays and Thursdays on Newsroom, in association with
MTN, everywhere you go.
December 7, 2016, a great battle between the umbrella and the elephant, with each commanding almost same number of soldiers.
We want to assure our supporters and Ghanaians that President Mahama is in a comfortable lead.
But the electorates spoke for the elephant.
It is my duty and my privilege to declare Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo as the President-elect of the Republic of Ghana.
1 year on, Nabil Ahmed Rufai journeys to the Kingmaker, a quest to see if the change has been worthwhile. Catch the reports from the Kotokraba Market to Wutu in the Central Region, Thursday 7th and Friday 8th December at 6:30 p.m. News Tonight on GH1 TV. News you can trust.
Welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, you're watching Newsroom right here on GH1 TV. And now we start off this part by going live to Parliament to speak to our parliamentary correspondent on the phone, rather, Ibrahim Al-Hassan. I understand that the Minister of Health is currently on the floor, so he'll be giving us more updates on that. Ibrahim, good day. Do tell us, what are the developments happening right now in Parliament? I understand that the Minister of Health is on the floor and has been speaking.
Yes, for the third time this week, to brief Parliament concerning development at the Kumasi Academy. He began by conceding that the situation overwhelmed health experts, the ministry, and for that matter, the government. So he has good news for members of Parliament. And to him, the good news is that finally the cause of the mysterious death has been found. And that is, as we all know, the H1N1 type A influenza, otherwise known as the swine flu. So he mentions that once the cause has been determined, they are liaising with the WHO for vaccines, and they are in the process of doing that. So very soon, vaccines will be made available, and all students of the Kumasi Academy, as well as members of the public who have come into contact in one way or the other with any student or teacher or a worker from that facility or from that institution, will be vaccinated. However, he says the precautionary measures that were taken, including the antibiotics that were administered to the students, as well as the patients, have yielded positive results. So they are in the process of procuring more to ensure that much more people are given these antibiotics to ensure no more deaths are recorded. So yes, the minister and before the House, giving them the good news that finally they've been able to determine what caused the death of these 4 students in the latest outbreak at Kumasi Academy.
All right. Now, I'm just curious, already we know the cause, that is a breakthrough, and he's trying to deliberate a way forward. Were some of the members present, welcoming of his speech today? Has he been pardoned, or rather has his ministry been pardoned for the reaction of a week later after some deaths had already occurred? What were some of the interesting responses?
Some, especially the minority members of Parliament, still insist that the response time was far too long. The delay was just 2 months. But of course, with a concession from the minister that the situation overwhelmed his outfit, there's been some concession also from the minority. However, he was given a simple task when he appeared before the House just 2 weeks ago. And that task was to be able to establish in a definite manner what has been causing the death of these students. That answer has been able to deliver today. So to most members of Parliament, yes, and this is satisfactory. But then, if you go ahead and implement these measures that is enumerated to ensure that we never return to this episode moving forward.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim, for that update. That was Ibrahim Al-Hassan, our parliamentary correspondent, just giving us details as to what exactly is transpiring, in Parliament at the moment, where we understand that the health minister had been speaking there. And now we have a look at our business stories, where spare parts dealers who are sympathizers of the NPP say they are not feeling the change they pushed for, while some say the NPP government should be given more time. Most of them cried the economy is bad as there has not been any significant improvement in their lives. Now, the traders spoke to Nana Aba Anamoah on State of Affairs, and we're listening.
The young country abandoned to your Masona Mamma form because Obi could do Haba, Nekaka on Jimmy Koyikano, but there will be Trimusa Yatin Yamaso, Ubedu not and Tessa, and Obakromaniama Air Cosero.
And we are doing. Mekano me boy because na me organize boys misaka interview never baso no obi amano be kanadwen obi ase o ma because ni wo kire no onyesika nje se mu yedin me kan me na da o ye wo fomo e na enimu ne ekoso ti esra ban se obo madia so ye hu bibi.
If you go to exchange for exchange rates and we are having 1 million at 100,000 Ghana cedis, you get around $20,000, whereby you cannot go and load goods with that $20,000. So the government, it should do something about it. It should do something about it. Everybody, the whole country, everybody was crying. You don't know why. They will come and stand on Terry, say something very sweet. But if you go on the ground, it's not like that. Nana should check it well. And those around him, they should be very, very careful. Other than that, you raise him later, we'll show him where the power lies.
Mr. Nupi, Oma dollar no, enko from dollar ne ba fom a okọ obefa so obema dollar na ba fom o ma ne mra fom na ye niam anya fo na ba san so ebema Ghana fo no so anya dwuma ye.
And now we go beyond the borders of Ghana and we have a look at some news making headlines across the world on our international news segment.
Prime Minister Theresa May has struck a last-minute deal with the EU to move Brexit talks onto the next phase. There will be no hard border in Ireland, and EU citizens in the UK and UK citizens in the EU will see their rights protected. European Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker said the breakthrough we needed had been achieved after months of negotiations. Talks on post-Brexit trade between the UK and EU can now go ahead. Speaking at an early morning press conference in Brussels, Mr. Juncker said, "Today's result is of course a compromise. Negotiations had been difficult for both the UK and the EU," he added. Theresa May said getting to this point had required give and take from both sides. Zimbabwe's central bank has ordered that the bank accounts of two top allies of ousted President Robert Mugabe be frozen. In a directive sent to the country's financial institution, it ordered them to identity and freeze all accounts run by former government ministers Jonathan Moyo and Xavier Kasukuwere. The two were influential members of a faction within the ruling ZANU-PF party, which backed former First Lady Grace Mugabe's campaign to succeed her husband. Reports say the whereabouts of the two have been unclear since last month's military takeover, which forced Mr. Mugabe, 93, to resign after 37 years in power. The central bank's directive also ordered that all accounts of companies where the two former ministers are directors or have a known beneficial interest be frozen.
Time now to have a look at our sports stories. President of Dreams Football Club, Kurt Okreku, says they have started their pre-season and preparing well for the GHALCAGA tournament early next year.
We are doing well. We are into pre-season. There's been new arrivals.